video, let's get into how to do regression in Excel. Now, if you watched the earlier videos, you would have already seen how to get to correlation using a formula. And regression does build off of some of the same math behind how we got to a correlation. And so we're going to use the same example of working with the variables around age and distance from home. And when we did this using the Correl function and selecting the data, we found that there was almost no correlation. It was a negative 0.001686, which is a very, very small, very close to zero number. So we believe that there isn't really a relationship between the two. Now, usually when you find that there's not really a relationship, there's not really a point of doing regression, but this is just about how should we do these steps in Excel if we wanted to. So we're going to pretend like we have a reason that we want to do regression on this one. So to do regression in Excel, you will need to make sure that you have something called the Data Analysis Toolpack turned on. Now this is free, it comes standard with Excel, but you have to turn it on. So you'd go to File, you'd go to Options, and then you would go to Add-ins, and you'd make sure that the Analysis Toolpack is turned on. I already have it turned on, so when I go to the ribbon and I click on Data as the tab, I have this option for data analysis that pops up here. Once you turn it on, that will be there and it will stay on for as long as you have Excel loaded on this particular computer. Now with that, you are able to click it and it'll show you all the things that Excel has available for you to do in this tool pack. And there's a lot of fun different ones in there, but we're going to jump to regression. Now this will be what we'd call simple linear regression, meaning in this example, we are going to look at only two variables. We're going to look at age and distance from home. Now the difference between correlation and regression is that correlation is just looking at whether or not the two vary or move together. Whereas with regression, we're actually looking to predict or explain one variable with or by another variable. So we actually have to ask ourselves, which variable do we think explains the other one? Now, ideally, you have some hypothesis or something that you're trying to test by doing this. And so I'll just make one up here. So let's say that we believe that age predicts distance from home, meaning we think that maybe younger or older individuals might be more or less likely to prioritize living near the office that they work in. And so we might have a hypothesis that there's a linear relationship. Maybe we think that the younger someone is, the closer they want to live to work, or vice versa. So that would mean that we are trying to predict distance from home based on knowing an age variable. So that makes distance from home what we would call our dependent or Y variable, and that makes age our independent or X variable is how they're typically put in. So when we go ahead and click regression and we press OK, it wants to know what is your Y range. This is going to be your dependent variable. And now in this case, from the way that I just said it, what we want to predict is going to be distance from home. So in that first box asking for the Y, I can use the little arrow to go select the data that I want to predict. In this case, I want to predict what is in the column F, distance from home. And I'm going to go ahead and start at the top from the title, distance from home. And I'm going to go all the way down to the data files end row, which I just happen to remember is 1,471. I could also have just pulled it down the whole way. And then I need to go get what is the X. So what am I going to use to try to predict distance from home? And so I can again click on this little arrow and go to the column for age. And I can go ahead and start and pull it down. Again, I just happen to know that it should end in 1471. And once I have it in, I can press enter. Now those dollar signs that are there, they just tell Excel, don't move around. They're just a little symbol that's meant to say, always start at A1 and go all the way down to A1471 in this example. So don't be too worried about those dollar signs. They'll just naturally show up if you're using the selector. Now, because I started at F1 and A1, that's meaning column F, row 1, that meant that I included that title row. That's not data, that's just the words distance from home. And so I want to tell Excel to turn the labels on. If you don't have any titles or a header row, or if you had just started from F2 and A2, then you'd want to leave this off, because it's going to say, okay, whatever's in that top row, I'm going to use as your title, and I'm going to start analyzing the data from whatever's right below it. So in this case, I have labels on. We're not going to worry about the other pieces quite yet. We're going to leave them at their standard areas. But this is asking, where would you like the output? And you could have the output go to a specific location inside of your current sheet. That's what output range is. And you can go and click on a particular cell. So if I want it to show up here, I can click on that cell and it fills it in. You can also tell it to go put it into a new worksheet or an entirely new workbook if you want. I want to show it to you next to where we did correlation, so I'm going to go ahead and put it on our current sheet. And I'm going to ignore the pieces down here at the bottom, just for now. You could get into those if you get more advanced. And once you press OK, wherever you had selected the output to go, you are now going to get regression summary output.